Şunu alayım. Hemen oturuyorum şuraya.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your lunch. And now we'd like to introduce our next keynote speaker.
Here is Patrick Tobias, Executive Director of Issuer Solutions at S&P Global.
Thank you very much. Actually, I realized right when I looked at my slide, first line, write a mistake. So it's not just CSRD reporting requirements for Turkish companies, it actually applies for every company, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I thought I mentioned that quickly. So today I would like to talk about CSRD reporting, which stands for Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, and I would like to take you a little bit through the process and what is required, etc. For some of you, I guess it will be a known, but maybe for others not. So please excuse me if I'm repeating something that you know already and focus on the things that you do not know. So we have a very short and crisp agenda talking about a bit about CSRD and how it is linked to the material assessment and the double material assessment as well, and how it which impact it has, and then last but not least, a little bit on how S&P can help. So the EU's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, forms the basis for the double materiality assessment and is far-reaching. So, of course, EU is one thing, but it has been seen that this directive is actually now the fundament for a lot of investors. And so if global investors want to invest in companies and they have to report under the EU law, then it is extremely relevant for them to have that understanding and to get that information. So it focuses around three topics: the environmental, the social, and the governance factors. And as I said, it doesn't just apply to European companies in the European community, it applies to virtually every company and it impacts the rest. So here is a bit, when will CSRD be relevant or not relevant? And you can read it from left to right. The more know you have, the more know you have, the longer it will take. The less no's you have, the quicker it will impact. So for those that go to yeses, they have to report in 2024, or basically next year it will kick in. I guess the majority of companies in this room, it will probably apply as of 26 or 2030. Nevertheless, as I said, in the previous reason, these are very relevant informations because companies that have to report under CSRD, they need this information in order to report correctly. Sorry, got mixed up with my slides here a bit. So here we go. The European Sustainability Reporting Standards, or ESRS, specify how CSRD must be implemented, and it actually follows quite a logical structure. So the double material assessment is based on ESRS, so that makes a lot of sense. It all links together, and then it's to identify the relevant sustainability matters of your organization. And there are some general principles, but there is, again, the three factors that I mentioned already: environment, social, and governance. Once you have put that together, then you need to identify which template is best to be used. And once that has been done, the identification of the exact information has to be disclosed. There's a little catch on that point number 3, but we get to that in a minute. So, what is the concept of double material assessment? Let's take a look at that. Again, it's all no surprise around the three factors: ESG, environmental, social, and governance factors. And all of these impact the companies as well as the financial materiality. And that's the double in this, at this point. And the financial materiality is based on SASB, whereas the impact of the materiality is based on GRI. SASB has been a quasi-standard for a long time, and I'm sure many of you have dealt with it in the past. So it doesn't make sense that, you know, based on SASB, the new standards are applied. And now the question, how do you best go about it? You need to check the double material assessment and what is required for the disclosing materials, but the disclosure of certain elements are typically required. So the material assessment is the first step. Once you have completed that, then it's the gap closure to see, you know, what was available and what's not. What's important here is not everything is available, and unlike financial disclosure, it's absolutely okay to say we don't have that information available, or we will work on this information, especially in the beginning. And once the gaps have been identified, then you need to work on close these gaps. We come to that in a second. And then the typical ESRS disclosure as such is required. What are these? They are general disclosures, climate disclosures, and the workforce, which is more around the S component. So last but not least, a quick approach on how we go about this. So when we look at this, and we've been doing that for a lot of companies, the first step is the due diligence process. It takes, I would say 1 week is a bit optimistic at this front. It typically takes a little bit longer than 1 week, more like 2 weeks, and it gives us an idea where the company stands today. And then once that has been completed, there will be surveys and understanding the company, lots of interviews with the stakeholders, with the shareholders, in order to identify the substantiality matters. And then, once again, that has been done, the full roadmap can be identified. Of course, this depends a lot on the collaboration of the company. So unfortunately, I have to tell you, it's not like you hire a consultant and they do it for you. It involves a lot of work from the companies themselves as well. The more work is being put internally into the whole effort, then the bigger is the success, and of course, the faster the results, which comes a bit back to what Andreas said earlier about the opportunities that can be spotted. So if that resonates with top management, that is extremely helpful. And then once that has been done, the gap closure, again, it depends a little bit on the gaps that you have. They then look at scope 1, 2, and 3 and target setting and transition. So to give you an idea, and maybe that is more relevant than one might think, is a lot of that information is not financial information, so it will be tough to find. And S&P Global has done a pretty good job over the last couple of years acquiring assets with non-financial data. And this non-financial data is now the big benefit for ESG reporting and for this exercise, where a lot of the information can be found at other sources. And make no mistake, the same resources are being used by other, like the Big Four or whoever would provide a similar service. They actually come back to us and require the data from us. So it is quite necessary to have it, and this is what we do. Then, last but not least, allow me this little self-advertising here. We've done it for a lot of companies, and we've advised a lot of companies. And of course, we would love to increase our footprint in Turkey. And with that, thank you very much for your attention.